Targeting Teens, a Farmington High School guide for students. The topics we will cover in this module include who is using e-cigarettes, why e-cigarette companies target teenagers, e-cigarette marketing tactics, which includes flavorings, advertisements, scholarships, and event sponsorships, and the past and current Food and Drug Administration rules and regulations for e-cigarette sales. Today, e-cigarettes are now the most commonly used tobacco product among youth. In 2017, 2.1 million students used e-cigarettes compared to 1.4 million who used regular cigarettes. In the U.S., youth are more likely to use e-cigarettes than adults. According to the 2018 National Youth Tobacco Survey, e-cigarette use among middle and high school students increased sharply between 2017 and 2018. This increase can be seen in the graph pictured. The survey also found over 3.6 million kids are currently using e-cigarettes. In addition, over the course of 1 year, the survey found a 78% increase in e-cigarette use among high school students and a 48% increase among middle school students. If we look at the data from the last Minnesota Student Survey, which is a survey given to Minnesota students every 3 years, e-cigarette use in the state also follows the national trends. The increase in e-cigarette use nationwide is due to a number of different reasons, including the ease of availability of e-cigarettes, the belief that e-cigarettes are safer than cigarettes, the various e-liquid flavors available, and alluring advertisements. In fact, 68% of high school students used flavored e-cigarettes in 2018, which is up from 61% in 2017. So why do e-cigarette companies target teenagers to use their products? To understand this, let's think about the history of the tobacco companies. When people think about smoking, they often think of it as an adult problem. However, the fact of the matter is 9 out of 10 cigarette smokers start before the age of 18. Smoking is very much a youth problem, and evidence has shown that the tobacco industry has been targeting young people for decades. Just as with the tobacco companies, the earlier e-cigarette companies can hook a new user, the bigger profit they will make, since only 1 in 4 teen smokers will quit before they reach adulthood. If you look at recent advertisements for e-cigarettes, it's clear who these companies are targeting. For example, can you think of who would be attracted to this Juul print ad? Now that we have established why e-cigarette companies are targeting young adults to purchase their nicotine products, let's discuss how they target them. E-cigarette companies use 4 specific tactics to reach teenagers. They do this by offering appealing flavors, creating advertising campaigns for social media outlets, offering scholarships to teenagers, and sponsoring popular music festivals and events. Let's start with flavorings. Flavors are one method e-cigarette companies are using to market their products to teenagers. Currently, there are over 15,500 flavors available on the market, and this number is only growing. E-cigarette companies use this tactic because they know it works. We can see this through the history of the tobacco companies. In 2009, the Family and Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act banned flavors in regular cigarettes, excluding menthol, because research shows they are more appealing to young people. In fact, a study that included middle and high school students found that 43% of young people who ever used e-cigarettes tried them because of appealing flavors. Another way e-cigarette companies are targeting young adults is through advertising. Youth and young adults are often exposed to e-cigarette advertising and have a high awareness of them. According to truthinitiative.org, by 2016, nearly 4 out of 5 middle and high school students, or more than 20 million youth, saw at least one e-cigarette advertisement. Truthinitiative.org also provided some interesting facts regarding e-cigarette advertising in teenagers. They state that young people are most likely to see ads at retail stores, followed by the internet, television, and newspapers and magazines. Between 2014 and 2016, exposure to retail e-cigarette advertising among young people jumped nearly 20%. In addition, mobile device ownership is most prevalent among young people, and research has shown that mobile ads may attempt to capitalize on young audiences by highlighting the product as cool or high-tech and by featuring flavors. TruthInitiative.org also quotes a study finding that among adolescents who had never used e-cigarettes, those who were exposed to 4 e-cigarette television ads reported a greater intention to use e-cigarettes in the future compared with those who did not view the e-cigarette ads at all. And lastly, another study also found that brief exposure to 4 e-cigarette print ads increased curiosity about e-cigarettes, and ad exposure was associated with trial of e-cigarettes in a small portion of the young adults who had never used an e-cigarette or cigarette. In addition to using retail stores, television, and magazines and newspapers to advertise their products, e-cigarette companies also rely heavily on social media to stir up buzz. As their products become more popular, the likelihood they will appear on timelines and news feeds more often increases as well. Let's explore how effective this tactic is by using Juul as an example. Most recently, Juul has relied on social media to promote its products. In 2015, Juul spent more than $1 million to promote their products on the internet. Since then, the brand has paid for advertising campaigns to appear on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. All of these campaigns focus heavily on associating Juul with being cool, having fun, relaxation, freedom, and sex appeal. Since 2015, studies done on Juul advertising have found that Juul retail sales highly correlated with social media growth, specifically the number of Juul-related tweets. In fact, Juul retail sales and social media growth matched up so well that the number of Juul-related tweets had skyrocketed from a monthly average of 765 in 2015 to 30,565 in 2017. By the end of 2017, Juul had captured more than half of the entire e-cigarette market share. Today, Juul is the most popular e-cigarette brand among young people. The third tactic e-cigarette companies use to attract people to their products is through scholarships. E-cigarette companies offer scholarships ranging from $250 to $5,000 to help pay for tuition costs. This is a very interesting tactic as e-cigarette companies state their products are only for adults. And while some scholarships are only offered to individuals 18 or older, the legal age to buy vaping products, many are open to younger teens or have no age limit at all. Lastly, e-cigarette companies will also sponsor music festivals and other events to market their products. Many of these sponsorships feature vapor lounges that include guest appearances by top performers, device charging stations, interactive social media booths, and sample products. Currently, it is illegal for cigarette and smokeless tobacco companies to sponsor music, sports, and other cultural events because evidence has linked this marketing technique to youth tobacco use. But e-cigarettes are not yet bound by these restrictions. These companies use these tactics because they know they work. In fact, e-cigarette companies often recycle old marketing tactics that have been successful in the past. This can easily be seen when comparing e-cigarette and cigarette print ads. Can you spot the similarities? Due to the sharp increase of e-cigarette use among teens and young adults as a result of some of these marketing techniques, the Food and Drug Administration has started to take some action. On August 8, 2016, the following rules regarding e-cigarette sales were put in place by the FDA. Retail stores selling e-cigarettes and their components are now only allowed to sell e-cigarettes to customers who are 18 years of age or older, and they must check a photo ID of anyone under the age of 27 who tries to purchase an e-cigarette. The rules also made it illegal to give away free samples of e-cigarettes or their components or sell them in a vending machine unless the machine is located in an adult-only venue. While these restrictions helped, e-cigarette use among teens continued to grow, so the FDA created more restrictions that began on June 11, 2018. These rules stipulated that all e-cigarettes and advertisements for e-cigarettes are required to have a nicotine addictiveness warning statement on them. The FDA is also currently discussing regulations on e-cigarette flavorings, as well as tightening the reins on products that are marketed or appealing to youth in an effort to combat the rising usage of e-cigarettes. Please continue on to the next module, which will explore addiction to vaping.